So it's great to be here again. Thank you, Brian, and all the staff of the Euro Speechwriters Network. I'm here just to talk about, obviously, this very controversial president who we're all going to be living with for the next 4 years. So Trump is a phenomenon. He's a disruptor, a subverter, a monstrous egotist who democratically threatens the Constitution of the United States and therefore the rest of the world. He's a malign genius whose wayward rhetoric, plodding, butchered syntax invokes a messianic following. And as his fans in this room will tell us, he's also in charge of the greatest military forces on the planet. Now, why is Trump so appealing? That's a question that we should ask ourselves as speechwriters. What weapons does he use that we could subvert, adapt his style, etc.? Now, given that the Democrats and Kamala spent $1 billion failing to find the answer, this is going to be the cheapest and greatest speechwriting seminar of your life. So let's see if we can get this show on the road. So we'll try it here, and here we have. This is from the State of the Union: lies, fears, sycophancy, and genius. So go on, okay?
I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again. There's never been anything like it. The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades. We won all 7 swing states, giving us an electoral college victory of 312 votes.
Shouldn't have touched it.
We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country. And won counties in our country, 2,700 to 525, on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican.
That's a pretty chilling piece of film. Now, you can see a definition of a genius. USA, USA. A few facts for what they count. The 312 electoral votes was precisely 6 more than Biden got in 2020. It was 53 less than Obama got in 2008, and pretty marginal compared with Ronald Reagan in 1984, when he won 525 electoral votes. But nevertheless, one of the most sophisticated constituencies on earth, those Republicans stood up and they cheered him to the rafters. That is a kind of genius. So, here we go. On to the next one. What sort of genius is Donald Trump? You can see it here. We are living in a historic time. He is literally a demagogue. They're very rare in human history, but he, aside, I must say, this is the one only citation, aside from Hitler, he is the greatest demagogue in our world's history. He presents as a man of the common people. The central features obviously appeals to passion. He has a visceral connection with his supporters that is beyond what we would think is normal political allegiance. And then he also excites those passions to break the law and obviously subvert democratic institutions. Now, someone said to me, it would be really fun to watch the Trump show if you had the luxury of viewing it from another planet. But we are here. So now, where does Trump's common origins, so-called common origins, come from? And it really comes from his early career as a sort of US media celebrity on The Apprentice. 180 hours, he communicated with a vast American audience, and that he's the social creature of our time. His rise is through the media. And with game shows, as you can see there, they're a kind of created reality. They're not a reflection, obviously, of real reality, the outcomes. Does anyone believe that the winning contestant really got a job with Donald Trump? It's a sort of internal game show where, obviously, individual contestants come and go, like individual policies, and then the actual outcomes, truth and lies, don't really matter. It's the ratings that do. So let's introduce our host tonight. This is an early extract of his career as a game show host.
New York City, it's the benchmark for success. Believe me, I know. My name is Donald Trump, and I'm the largest developer in New York. I even have a television show. I thrive on energy. This isn't a game. I'm not playing games. Who will succeed? Who will fail? And who will be the apprentice? Welcome to New York. It's the meanest city in the world. So, well, Apex, you lost. See, now, Bradford can be a little bit tough tonight because you know what? Because he's exempt, right, Bradford?
I'll be honest with you, I'd be willing to waive my exemption.
Bradford, I think it's stupid what you said. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept it.
That's fine, Mr.
And you
Trump.
may get fired tonight.
That's fine.
Okay, good. See, this is what happens in life, Brad. And I've done it too. I've done really stupid things. But you did a really stupid thing.
I didn't think it was stupid at the time.
No, it's pretty stupid.
It was dumb.
Robin, let him in. I mean, you're so stupid. What you did was just stupid. Ivana, don't you think what he did was really stupid? And a really stupid mistake, right?
Perfect.
A stupid, impulsive, life-threatening decision. I think you're the best one in the room.
Thank you.
Bradford, you're fired.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
I think he's the best one in the room, but he made a decision that was so stupid, and I'm very happy with that decision. What did you think, Stacey?
I think the weakest link is Stacey J.
Who would you fire?
I'd get rid of Stacey J.
Stacey acted in a manner that led us to believe that there could be possibly a second personality to Stacey. Literally.
I thought I was crazy. The bottom line is I'm not crazy. I mean, I'm not crazy. That's the bottom line. I'm not crazy.
You're fired.
So, everyone who laughed, you had a little taste of what it's like to be one of Trump's fans. I mean, he's a compelling watch, and there's so much more pleasure in pain, particularly if you're back at home watching it on the TV. So he has this sort of mesmeric quality for his fans. If we want to do a little bit of truth-telling, he was never the largest developer in New York, but what does it matter? But it also is the basis of his political personality, the all-knowing business tycoon, the way that he baits and insults opponents, and this stems from this career as being the game show host. So this is the start of the new Trump political game show.
Wow. Whoa. That is some group of people. Thousands. So nice. Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you. It's great to be at Trump Tower. It's great to be in a wonderful city, New York. And it's an honor to have everybody here. This is beyond anybody's expectations. There's been no crowd like this. And I can tell you, some of the candidates, they went in, they didn't know the air conditioner didn't work. They sweated like dogs. They didn't know the room was too big because they didn't have anybody there. How are they going to beat ISIS? I don't think it's going to happen. Our country is in serious trouble. We don't have victories anymore. We used to have victories, but we don't have them. When was the last time anybody saw us beating, let's say, China in a trade deal. They kill us. I beat China all the time. All the time. When did we beat Japan at anything? They send their cars over by the millions. And what do? When was the last time you saw a Chevrolet in Tokyo?
Brilliant line.
It
A
doesn't
brilliant
exist,
line.
folks. They beat us all the time. When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. And now they're beating us economically. They are not our friend, believe me. But they're killing us economically. The U.S. has become a dumping ground for everybody else's problems. Thank you. It's true. And these are the best and the finest. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
So essentially Trump has been saying that same stump speech for the last 9 years. I'll go into a little bit more detail, but if you note the language, it has this sequential incoherence. It has these key words, memes, themes, recurrent. It's this rambling, basic syntax, very direct, limited vocabulary. But it's obviously very effective. And what that Trump speech is really about. So I had to listen to quite a lot of Trump speeches for this presentation, but it boils down to this projecting a false vision of America as the victim of, I can't even see actually from here, hitting out on certain key words and mantras, endorsing a conspiracy view of his enemies, baiting and humiliating political opponents. It's not just poor Brad, remember? It's crooked Hillary and it's Sleepy Joe, was it Sleepy Jeb, etc. And it's offering strong leadership and simplistic edict solutions to complex problems. That is Trump's speech. That is what it says all the time. Now, he might take 90 minutes, or with the State of Union, 100 minutes, but that is basically the points of Trump's speech over and over again. It's the same message. And here he is, he's sort of showman and salesman.
But we've been treated very unfairly by China and many other countries. And we're not being unfairly treated anymore. We had that down to a science in the first term, and then they lost it. You know, we lost over $1 trillion to China this last year under Biden, Crooked Joe Biden. What do we like better, Crooked Joe or Sleepy Joe? Ready? Ready? Crooked Joe or Sleepy? Ready? Crooked Joe. Sleepy Joe. Gotta stay with Crooked.
So he breaks the fourth wall. He obviously interacts with the audience. It's the sort of show, a cavalcade. He has these sort of gladiatorial threats of retaliation against conjured enemies, hyperbolic exaggerations of success. And in that sense, it's an act of theatre, not what we'd normally call like a speech. The reason why Trump is so unusual is he confounds, virtually every book of rhetoric, the usual sort of fact-checking journalism. Now, so these are, again, we can't really see because of the light, I'm afraid, so I just have to read it out. So I'm talking here about his speeches are beyond truth and lies. In effect, actually, Trump doesn't give any speeches at all. He engages in what Wittgenstein would call like a language game, that he conjures up a Trump world in his speeches, in this version of reality. We expect speeches to be a mirror of reality, but Trump's speeches are a mirror of Trump world, and which he shares with his followers and fan base. He kind of entertains them with memes and themes, but none of it is actually judged by reality. It's not important in the terms of, like, when I talk about him being a game show president, they aren't judging him by the sort of factual outcome. They're judging him by this sort of performance, by his entertainment, by his, I suppose, his airing and re-airing of supposed grievances and solutions, and obviously the inclusion of enemies, the Mexicans, the immigrants, etc. See if we can move on. So, yeah, here we have it in a summit. Globalists, warmongers, and Marxist fraudsters sucked our country dry. This is from CPAC. This is from February, his kind of victory lap speech.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And a very special hello to CPAC. It's been a long time. We've loved being back, and it's hotter than ever. This place is packed. You got to see outside. They don't know what's happening. They have no idea what's happening. And a friend is here from Argentina, and a friend is here from Poland. Stand up. Great job. Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the nation's capital, where our movement is thriving, fighting, winning, and dominating Washington like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like this before. They used to have little smaller crowds here. It's a little bigger. The fraudsters, liars, cheaters, globalists, and deep state bureaucrats are being sent packing. The illegal alien criminals are being sent home. We're draining the swamp, and we're restoring government by the people, for the people. For years, Washington was controlled by a sinister group of radical left Marxists, warmongers, and corrupt special interests who drained our wealth, attacked our liberties, obliterated our borders, and sucked our country dry. Not any longer.
It's this sort of meandering monologue, and as I say, it has these recurrent memes and themes, but ultimately it's a psychodrama where he's the crusader in legion with his fans and followers against the enemy elite. He promises, he proclaims, he declares. Even his followers say that they don't take him literally. They don't take him, he's saying that, he's testing the boundaries, but he's a fable spinner. And that fable has now included so much of the US political establishment. Now, he uses auto cues, but then he often riffs off piste. And he has these affirmative tags. Beautiful. Nothing like this has ever happened before. They don't know what's happening. But then he punches back at these key words. You've just watched them. Dominate, swamp, Marxist, Washington, controlled, sinister, negative tag words that strike an emotional, I think almost even Pavlovian response in the crowd. And then he also uses a kind of rhetorical hinge where he has these sort of comedic episodes, and then he'll just suddenly lunge in, like with some conspiracy invective. So serious, like, okay.
We're also going to Fort Knox. I'm going to go with Elon. And would anybody like to join us? Because we want to see if the gold is still there. We want to see. Wouldn't that be terrible? We open up this Fort Knox. It's just solid granite that's 5 feet thick. The front door, you need 6 musclemen to open it up. I don't even think they have windows. Wouldn't that be terrible if we opened it up and there was no gold there? So we're going to open those doors, we're going to take a look, and if there's 27 tons of gold, we'll be very happy. I don't know how the hell we're going to measure it, but that's okay. We want to see lots of nice, beautiful, shiny gold in Fort Knox. Don't be totally surprised. We opened the door, we'll say, there's nothing here. They stole this too.
Here's the hinge.
Now, we have a very corrupt group of people in this country, and we're finding them out. We're removing all of the unnecessary, incompetent, and corrupt bureaucrats from the federal workforce. That's what we're doing. And under the buyouts, we offered federal employees more than 75,000 federal bureaucrats. Think of that. Have voluntarily agreed to surrender their taxpayer-funded jobs. We want to make government smaller, more efficient. We want to keep the best people, and we're not going to keep the worst people.
Trump has this kind of immunity. Like there's been a million Democratic New York Times fact checkers sort of frothing at the mouth. Wait a minute, he's lying. What, can't you see it? I looked it up. How many tons do you think of gold are in Fort Knox? 27 sounds a bit small, doesn't it? Fort Knox underpins the Federal Reserve, the world's reserve currency, which is equivalent to effectively trillions and trillions of dollars. If any other American president said that basically the underpinning of the dollar, that they had stolen the gold, then the markets would be in free fall, yeah? And the dollar would be plunging. Now, if you get it on the internet, it'll tell you that Fort Knox has got 5,000 tons of gold. I did it in 2 seconds, well, not 30 seconds. So Trump doesn't even bother his team when he's delivering that was a big presentation, it was on the auto cue. They don't even bother to actually check how much gold there is in Fort Knox because it doesn't matter. Because this sort of comedic, he has, as a demagogue, he has this strange Teflon immunity that they're not judging what he's saying literally. Or certainly seriously, but they're not taking it literally. And then he riffs off that into, and we're firing 75,000 federal employees. It's an amazing, I remember from English literature, it's a conceit. You just wouldn't think at the beginning of the sentence that you could end up where he is in the next sentence. So it's a very novel technique. Now, and this is taking Trump very seriously. We're in a kind of pot where we are the frog and the water is actually boiling up and it's getting hotter and hotter and we actually don't really know what's coming. But Trump, I think, if you do look at his speeches, this strange, the literally and seriously, he takes himself very seriously indeed.
I ended Joe Biden's weaponization as soon as I got in. I said, I'm going to hit him with the same stuff. But I ended his whole weaponization of our government and removed his hand-picked radical left Marxist prosecutors from the Department of Justice. I was so happy to do that. They weaponized government. They weaponized government. I pardoned hundreds and hundreds of Biden's political prisoners, including Christians, pro-life activists, and the J6 hostages who were treated terribly for years.
I think obviously releasing the J6 rioters, and when you see Trump boast about that, that is a sign of far darker turmoil in America ahead. I mean, the one thing you can say for Trump is his enemies have always seriously underestimated him. How the Democratic Party conceived that Joe Biden was ever going to beat Donald Trump is one of the incredible scandals of our time. And then the fact that they spent $1 billion and failing to do it. So he does have, this man has a sort of unique quality, and we should definitely take everything he says seriously, if not literally. What do demagogues do? Well, generally, they use the power of the government and the ruling party to impose the personal rule of the dictator. They disestablish and undermine alternative sources of authority. They crush all political opposition by arrests. And then they engage in war against perceived enemies, both internal and external. Oh, sorry. Why Trump works now? Well, he's dominating the agenda. I mean, I don't think any of us can remember an American president who had this constant stream of these initiatives, decrees, There's ones recently, not just the car tariffs overnight, but there's ones about electoral interference, demanding more IDs, a flurry of, you might say, game show episodes, almost too many to actually keep up. To quote Churchill or adapt him, I'm not even sure we're at the beginning of of Trump. And so he is, I'd say, as a successful demagogue, he's imposed his will, this radical Trump world vision, on large sections of the US establishment. You know, all these law firms that are now kind of tugging the forelock. If you saw at the inauguration, Jeff Bezos, all these big, paying homage. I think Netflix have bought a documentary of Melania for a mere $40 million. Yeah. And then the other really uncomfortable thing, apart from for the Trump fans in the room, is that 40 to 50% of the American people support him. We just can't sort of deny that. A lot of people really think that he is the bee's knees. Now, the future is uncertain, but one thing is absolutely certain. We do know what Trump's reaction will be to any attempt to remove him from power. And I'll just show you this little clip as a bit of prophecy. Oh, well, here we have got, I've got here about the fall. Okay, so the fall of demagogues, what history teaches us, that reality catches up, that wars are lost, the economy tanks, the people grow bored and revolt. Trump's game show personality is that there's always something shiny and bright coming on. He's not really that deeply interested in outcomes, but he moves on to the next issue. We haven't heard anything in the last 2 weeks, but correct me if I'm wrong, about the Gaza plan. Now we're on to the Ukraine plan. Maybe next we'll go back to the Gaza. But it goes on and on and on. There's just a constant, energetic move forward in which the Trump world is at the center. Sometimes an external authority, in a few cases in history, the Vatican, removes a demagogue from power. The regime ages, a bit like Rupert Murdoch, and they can't actually agree on succession. You have an internal coup, or else sometimes a united democratic opposition manages to win the war against the stacked electoral odds. There's definitely the case that those odds, electoral odds, are diminishing. And then the American opposition is weakened and divided, stunned, really. So they're not necessarily going to be standing up to Donald Trump in a very meaningful and coherent way. But let's go into this last clip. And here he is. This is his answer to all of those of you who are skeptic, who'd like to see him fall from power, apart from the Trump fans.
What's going on now is the single greatest scam in the history of American politics. The Democrats want to take away your guns. They want to take away your health care. They want to take away your vote. They want to take away your freedom. They want to take away your judges. They want to take away everything. We can never let this happen. We're fighting to drain the swamp, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And you see why we have to do it. Because our country is at stake like never before. It's all very simple. They're trying to stop me because I'm fighting for you, and I'll never let that happen.
There we are. Brilliant.